Okay, well, I mean, we're gonna start this with a debate. This is CP3D for today. Uh, what is
July
today? Today's
July
Tuesday,
16th.
July 16th. It's a Tuesday, and I'm still in Michigan, and David is in Seattle, watching his favorite channel, C-SPAN, um, go over the Republican convention. His second favorite thing to watch. Um, but you've got so the news junkie that you are, you've got some breaking news that you want to talk about. I am not as excited. I'm not as excited. So part of this is going to be you selling me on why this is important.
It's okay. Our
Um,
entire relationship is predicated on one of us selling the other one at some point.
that's
Okay.
right. That's
Okay.
exactly right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Meanwhile, I'm debating with the fieldwork team on whether or not we go with one 501c3 that's in the hood to knock on doors with, or a super polished Michigan United. So that's where my mind is at right now. It's in the field on these doors where we got to win the election. But let's go. Let's go.
Okay. So here's where my mind is at. So we had the attempted assassination on Donald Trump on Saturday. Today's Tuesday. We had the nomination of his vice presidential running mate yesterday, J.D. Vance. Today, the
I have some
Democrats.
more thoughts on that, by the way. Go ahead.
Okay, good. The Democrats have picked up and revived their discussion about who should be their nominee for the presidential campaign. There was some thought that maybe, that we've moved past this because given the gravity of this moment and everything, that we should just stick with Joe Biden. But Joe Biden continues to turn in performances that are sometimes really excellent and then sometimes not. All right. And the
But not
reality,
off a cliff. He's not off a cliff like the debate yet, which is what a lot of people are watching for. Right.
yeah, he is not off a cliff. He's just lukewarm and not sharp, not sharp in his interviews, and also in yeah, he did another interview today. He did one with, I think, BET today, Black Entertainment Television today, I think.
Did he really?
Yeah, I think so. And
Okay. Well,
he
nobody in Detroit in the black community was talking about it, just so you know. Go
okay, so
ahead. Go
maybe it
ahead.
wasn't BET. All right.
No, 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 no. So maybe it doesn't matter.
So there is a letter though. So here's what's happened is that Ohio, a couple months ago, the Secretary of State in Ohio said, we're not going to put Joe Biden on our ballot because the Democratic National Committee is not going to have their convention until late August, and our ballots get printed before this. And so since they will not have decided who their nominee is, we're going to put blank for the Democratic Party. The Ohio governor, who's a Republican, Mike DeWine, said, this is ridiculous. We should not do this. And so he pushed the legislature to go back and revise the law, and they passed a new law. So everything is fine now. Doesn't matter
Right.
when the Democratic convention is, the nominee will be on the ballot. But the Democratic National Committee has made the argument that, yeah, but they could change their mind just as easily as they changed it right here. And so let's do an early roll call vote for the convention that we do virtually, where every state puts their votes into nomination of a particular candidate and pick our nominee well in advance of this deadline that Ohio could reinstate. Well, in like maybe 2 months ago, that idea of like an early roll call vote was not a controversial idea, but today
Right.
that's a big thing. People who don't want Joe Biden to be the nominee are saying, hold on, no way, we're not doing an early roll call vote. We're going to wait till we get up to that convention. We need to see every day, can this guy run the
Yeah, because that,
campaign?
that that shortens the amount of time that they get to be able to make the case for switching them out. No, I get
Right.
that. Yep.
And the Democratic National Committee is trying to make this roll call vote happen as early as July 21st. July 21st is Sunday. Is that right? Yeah, July 21st is Sunday. So sometime really soon. Well, Frontline Democrats, these are Democrats who are in the most competitive congressional seats in the House, have now circulated a letter that several say they're going to sign, saying that they refuse to participate. in this roll call vote, and that the party deserves to have this robust conversation about whether Joe Biden should be the nominee or not. And that
So
this is,
how many people is that?
well, there right now, Susan Wild from Pennsylvania, Jared
Okay.
Huffman
Super
from
important
Colorado. Yeah,
states.
she's a swing vote. She's a very competitive
Yep.
swing.
Huge.
Uh, Mike Levin from California in a swing district. All
Yep.
right.
LA County. Is that Orange County?
I don't know where
Or
he
it's
is.
I think it's LA County. Go ahead. Okay. It's SoCal, I
Um,
think though. Go ahead.
it's growing. Like this is literally a developing story right now. Okay.
Okay, so just let's
Pat
back up a little bit.
Ryan.
So
Pat Ryan from New York too.
okay. So these frontline districts, the DCCC, led by Suzanne Delbene out
The
of
D,
Washington
the
State.
Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. Yes.
Yes. They have these frontline candidates. There are races that we need to protect that are at risk this election, or races that we want to flip. And those are where they're kind of focusing their dollars and their strategic focus in those districts. And so you're saying that a bunch of these frontline people, for whom the eyes of political America is on right now, they're saying we refuse to do this roll call.
Yeah, last Sunday, so Saturday, I think it was Saturday, these frontline Democrats had a Zoom call with Joe Biden that did not go well. All right. They did not feel that he articulated an appropriate way forward in terms of how he was going to help them and win. So they were
Mhm.
angry and frustrated. So now they're
Yeah,
feeling,
and Marie Gluesenkamp Perez is one of them, right?
yeah,
Out of Washington State, Vancouver. Was she on that letter?
she will be. I have no doubt about it that she will
Okay,
be. But
okay.
on that call on Saturday, she raised her hand, using the Zoom emojis. She raised her hand because she wanted to speak. And the people who are Biden's folks who are running the call put her hand down. All right.
Oh no, no, oh no, because they heard her put out a statement about him
Yes.
right
And so
after
then
the
she
debate.
re-raised it. Okay. And I guess the mechanics of the call, she couldn't come off a mute, or you just don't do that with the president. I don't know. But she re-raised it again and they put it down again. All right. And so
Whoa,
there
whoa,
are
whoa.
these folks feel like their careers are really at stake. And also they got constituents who are out there feeling like this district is really, really close. Okay.
No, it is. I mean, that was like top 5 targets last cycle. Her district was in the top 5 target for the GOP to flip.
Right. So
So
let me put it
yeah.
to you on let me put it to you in CP terms then. Is it the case that these frontline races, these frontline Democrats, are the kinds of places that Common Power engages the most?
Yes. Yes. So Pennsylvania, Arizona, if we chose to go into Oregon and California as newer states on our map this year that we didn't have at the beginning of the calendar year. Um, Definitely Marie Gluesenkamp in Vancouver, and then seats all over the country that people have already been aware of. But yes, that those U.S. House districts are the place where we are the difference. Those are places where somebody will win that race by a few thousand votes, and we knock on more doors than that this year for sure. So
Okay.
we are the field margin. Those are races that are won by a field margin because the populations are so low, and the populations of voters in those races are so low.
Okay. So this is where I want to take this conversation. And full like lifting the veil to everybody on how Charles and David run CP3D. We come in with an idea and we're like, we'll see where it goes. Sometimes it's mapped out. This one was definitely like, we'll see where it goes. All right. Here's where I want it to go.
Yeah,
We
that's it. Just for everybody who's planning to work with us in the future. That's how all of our meetings go too. So if you ever sit with us through a meeting, that's it's not going to be just pre-planned every time. Sometimes we'll sit and have a debate in the meeting with you. All right, go
um
ahead, David.
we calibrate how we do our work. Yeah, I think that's the right way to say it. We calibrate how we do our work according to the lead of our partner organizations. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, that's a non-negotiable for us. So as you and I, as part of the leadership of Common Power, think about the Biden and Harris debate about who should be at the top of the ticket. And to me, that's the only other consideration would be Vice President Kamala Harris. There's nobody else I'd consider at this
Yeah,
point.
I agree. I completely agree.
So if as we consider the Biden or Harris or Biden debate, where in the Democratic Party would we be disposed to calibrate ourselves to? Okay. Would it be these frontline individuals because we run in those races, because we work in those races? Would it be the Congressional Black Caucus, the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, or the AAPI caucus? Would it be female leadership? Would it be powerful leadership like the minority speaker, Hakeem Jeffries? Where do you think, like, let's talk this through live here.
Yeah.
Where are we taking our thoughts and cues from?
So I think that the reality is it's a layer of a bunch of those. Not all of them together, but it's a layer of, frontline state plus AAPI voters and Black voters.
Okay.
Or frontline district, excuse me. Or Hakeem Jeffries and then frontline district and then Latinx voters. It's multiple. It's never just one of those things.
Yep.
Because we do have inputs from the frontline folks, from Suzanne Dobene's team, from we get to all see what Hakeem Jeffries is doing. We do have inputs from 501c4 and C3 organizations, these community organizations all around the country. We do have inputs from candidates and organizers on the ground. That's the other thing. The organizers on the ground are not just telling us what voters are going to say, but also who's got mobilization that is going to activate voters that we can plug into. Because a lot of people can get on a Zoom or on TV and say a lot of good words, and it's just one person. And it's a small organization, and they look bigger than they really are. It's a think tank, and they're not really moving voters, or they're a funding group, and they're moving dollars around, but they're not going to be the field margin out in the field. And nobody on the ground who's knocking on doors knows who they are. Like, we get inputs from everywhere. Like I said, I was just in Detroit in the hood with the Black community, and they are talking about their issues. And they have no idea about the other organization that we're thinking about working with, which is Michigan United. Like, nobody from that group was here. And so while we've got these multiple inputs into a city that is going to be pivotal on how Michigan goes, and yet, I'm talking to two different groups, and there's no overlap there. So for us, we've got to do the math of like taking in a bunch of those things and saying, what's the through line there? And who do we back based on that? I think that it is important, and it's unique for us. It's unique. Our view is unique amongst others around the country, because if you ask any elected official who represents a state or a district, their district is the most important. Their state is the most important. Their state's burning down. Their state's the most pivotal one in the election, right? Everyone's representing their constituents. Yeah. Same with with identity organizations. They're saying the AAPI vote is the make a difference vote here. They're saying the Black vote is the make a difference vote. They're saying the unions are going to be the ones to make a difference. Everyone's representing their own. The unique thing for Common Power is that we're aggregating all of this. We're aggregating it and also adding an additional layer of here's the relationship that's going to help facilitate door knocking, which will be the difference this year from what we're hearing from everybody. So I'd say that it's not as neat as one or the other. I think that there's a lot of heavy weight though to frontliners this year, this cycle. So, all right. So not talking about like politics in general, but frontliners specifically, because swing voters are going to have an outsized weight here.
Yeah, just off the top of our head, this is the Washington 3rd with Clusenkamp Perez. This is
Yeah.
the Minnesota 2nd with Angie Craig. This is the Arizona 1st and the 4th, which are currently held by Republicans, but are Biden won districts. It's the New York 17th with Pat Ryan. It's the Pennsylvania 7th or 8th with Susan Wild. These are these identified frontline districts, which are by definition very competitive. And the Dems either barely hold them or barely didn't win them and would like to win them. So two things on this. So if the frontliners matter a lot because they're the most competitive districts and the places where we can make the field margin difference or we can contribute in some of these. Let me ask you this question. Movement Voter Project, which is a terrific national organization, which raises money from people nationally and then delivers that money to community organizations on the ground in several states. They came out about a week ago with a letter, and they said in their letter that they believe that Joe Biden should step aside, should pass the torch,
Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay.
and should give to Vice President Harris. That's who they didn't say anybody, but to Vice President Harris. Okay. And they said that they had surveyed and canvassed their Movement Voter Project partner organizations. And although there wasn't unanimity, there was a tendency like 70 to 30 or 75 to 25 to support Biden stepping aside. And that they believed that this was the best move to do. And so they took this position. And they said they would support Biden, if that's the case, but that they took this position. Would Common Power put out such a letter right now? And if so, what would get us to do that if we were?
When we put out a letter.
Executive Director Douglas, what would you?
Yeah, this is good. This is good. This is different. This is like a tactical question because it goes past like what do we think and what do our people think and just would we put out a letter. I would say no, unless I got some signal that somebody gave a damn about what we thought. and that's let me explain that. So not to say that like what we think doesn't matter, because I just talked about how unique our vision is in all this. But I think that we try to be really humble, okay, in the political landscape and not put our thumb on the scale. And if we move to support something, it's because there's people that are already out there and we're multiplying their efforts. So this feels like not that. This feels like a conversation that people who are positioned in a different way than us can have. It feels like people who we trust and we partner with are already saying these things. And so, is it going to add value if we say it? I don't know. If we want to be heard, that's something else completely. But I don't think that we're there. And at a tactical level, our jobs don't change. We're still knocking on doors for ex-Democrat at the top of the ticket, and we've got a long way to go to just gain trust from some of the folks that we're trying to get the vote from.
Yeah, and
I don't know if that makes sense. Does that answer what you're asking?
Yeah, and yeah, of course. And I think that like we occupy a space that serves a lot of people within the Democratic Party ecosystem. We do, and we are, in my view, the actually most important elections this fall are the U.S. Senate. All right, the U.S.
Okay.
Senate. So there's a lot of inputs to consider around that, and I think that because we knock doors at so many different kinds of states and in so many different kinds of districts, that we should not lead this endeavor. We should be very attuned to it, All right.
Mhm.
But we should not offer our voice as a driving piece in this. So I would agree with, I think I arrive at the same position as you. Um, also, but I arrive there also because the reality is that we, uh, our credibility depends upon our ability to say that we're here for voting rights. All right. We're here for voting rights. And definitively to me, on the policy of voting rights, there isn't daylight between Biden and Harris. Okay. There,
Sure.
there isn't. There is significant daylight between them in terms of their substantive way to campaigns. They're vigorous, they're what they can offer. But on the policies, I don't see them. I mean, they're the same policies.
Yeah, and to the point about us needing to partner with people all over the place. It doesn't add a ton of value for us to put out a statement like that. It'd be different if we put out statements, like if that's something that we normally regularly do when something blows up in the political ecosystem, but we're not in the practice of that. We may be at some point, but we also don't endorse. You know, we don't endorse, and so but we may in the future. We may in the future, and to the extent that we talked about doing advocacy work next year, if things go well for Democrats in the fall, and they really, really could. Let me say this again. We could win out in the fall. I'm looking into the camera. We could win out in the fall. There's a lot of fear right now. There's a lot of worry. And there's also a possibility that we get the presidency, the Senate, and the House. Okay. All right. So if we do that, then we're going to do a lot of advocacy next year, and we could begin to vocalize support for candidates, which would mean that if the shit hits the fan on one topic or another, that we do signal a direction that we'd like for people to head in the form of some kind of letters. To your question about what would it take for us to weigh in on something like this in the future?
Yeah. I guess I would be inclined for us to weigh in too if there was a definitive like Biden's going to lose by 10 and Harris can win by 5. Okay. Like there's
Okay.
definitive data on that. And that may emerge. That may
Mm-hmm.
emerge. So I'll go back to the letter here to wrap up this, have us wrap this up. I would put my signature on this letter right now, which says no early roll call vote. All right. For the Democratic National Convention. If I was an elected official or if Common Power was given the opportunity as a community partner, I would advocate for us to put our signature on this no early roll call vote for the Democratic National Convention. Let's give us the next 5 weeks to examine, to discuss, and to be small d democratic about this.
Yeah, if we were asked by another national organization right now, like DFAD or something, Declaration for American Democracy, or even I don't know, like Working Families Party or some unions or something like that, and they were like, "Hey, we like you guys. We do good work together. Would you join us on this letter?" I could see us doing that.
Yeah.
I could see us joining our partners on something that they're driving.
And the letter itself, just to remind everybody, is simply saying, let's wait till the convention before this decision is made. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. As a quick
Okay.
kind of closer, because people are always wondering, there are multiple electoral forecasts out there for the presidency, and 538.com has been one that's been around for about 20 years now. And 538.com has Joe Biden at in his most predictively successful position that he's been in for weeks. So he's at 53 or 54% likely to win. So Charles, you're right, even though there's a lot of doomers out there. Maybe that should be the 4D, the CP4D. Okay.
No. No.
Is that we're not dooming. We're not. All right.
No. 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 We're not, and I think that makes this moment a little muckier. Like those kinds of numbers where Biden is trending up. That's another reason why we're not joining any kind of chorus to pull him down, and why I said a couple of days ago that I'm feeling the fatigue from the fight actually, and I'm ready to get back to work. There's nothing definitive. The energy's died down. it feels like we really need to refocus. And yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens if there's some other performance of his that is lackluster. But it feels like he understands that he can't do that again.
Yeah.
I think he and his campaign know it. Um, so we'll see. I think he'll do better from here out. But I'm still pissed about how they handle the whole thing.
Yeah,
But
they
whatever.
did not handle the critiques very well at all. Not a
Yeah,
bit.
but
Nope.
it's politics. It's politics. So like being mad at the campaign is about giving a damn about politics in 2024. That's how it goes.
Yeah. All right, man. Good talk. Thanks. glad we could work through our therapy together. All right.
That's good. That's really good. That's really good. We talked through some strategic elements. You want to talk about anything else? You want to get any other business out of the way? You got a budget spreadsheet you want to throw up? You got any personal discussions you want to have on the Zoom right now? Or no, not for this one. We're out of
No,
time. Oh man, we're out of time.
all right. Since we're now 12 minutes late to the staff meeting, we should go.
All right. Okay. You gonna do your catchphrase?
CP. Oh yeah. CP
Come on,
3D.
man.
We're out. All right.
Wait, okay, do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
CP3D. We're out.
Oh, it's got a chest beat thing too. It's getting a little too big. All right.
Common
Okay.
Power, Douglas Domke Daily. We're out.
All right. All right. Well,
No,
we'll work on that.
We're in actually.
We're okay. Okay. All right. See everybody next time.
See ya.